Okay, we're live. Welcome, everybody. This is the Twin Flames in Cinema presentation, and it's being led by Bo. And welcome. We're getting things set up, but I thought we'd kind of talk about the idea behind this and the different terms we're going to be using. So, Bo, do you want to give kind of a synopsis of what you're going to be talking about?
Essentially, what we're looking at this evening is we're going to look at twin flames as a general theme in cinema. Some movies that had it there intentionally, some movies that didn't. Some movies that didn't even call it by twin flames, such as Soulmates or so on and so forth. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just setting up the presentation. And
okay.
Then from here we'll kick it off. We're going to be reviewing about 6 movies. I'm just going to go straight through the presentation, and then afterward we're just going to have an open forum discussion.
Awesome. Okay, so while you're doing that, why don't we go ahead and kind of have a short group discussion about what we feel the Twin Flame Union means, what it is, because like you mentioned, there's a lot of media that tells us, what it is and what it's not, and I feel like the terms soulmate and twin flame get used interchangeably so many times that maybe people aren't sure what it is. So do you guys want to talk a little bit about that? Maybe starting with Jeff and Shaleia, what you guys feel the difference is?
Sure. Yeah, so the difference between soulmates and twin flames is pretty vast. A soulmate is someone you meet up with lifetime after lifetime, whether it's a brother or a sister or an aunt and uncle, a parent, a child, a lover, a friend, a lifelong lover, a temporary lover. And they tend to come into your life because you have, you work really, really well together. And they tend to teach you a particular lesson, and you do a specific thing together, and they might stick around for your whole life, or they might show up just for a particular lesson and peace out and see you a few lifetimes later. Maybe Shaleia wants to describe a twin flame.
Yeah, and so to add on to what Jeff is saying is that one of the key distinctions between soulmate and twin flame is that you do not share the same genetic blueprint with a soulmate. So the best way that I like to describe the blueprint is, imagine identical twins. A woman's having identical twins, and they share the exact same genetic DNA, but they're two unique souls. Well, the same is as above, so below. So we came from Source, or God, or Spirit, or from what it called the Great Sun, as flames, and we share the exact same blueprint as that flame, but we are still our own unique beings, and we are designed to be eternally compatible, eternally together, versus soulmates. You could probably never see a soulmate ever again.
So people want to say that your soulmate, is like your ultimate lover, right? He's my soulmate. Well,
right.
That's common knowledge that a soulmate's a great, relationship partner.
It's very well accepted now in our culture.
But when you talk about your ultimate perfect lover, there's only one. And that's your twin flame, and it's an eternal lover. You were created together in the same moment, and you will always be connected. You can always come back together. You're designed to always be together.
Well, I like the analogy of kind of the sun, the flame, coming from that, because a lot of people have it in their heads that it's literally a soul split in half, and they're not comfortable with that idea.
No, it's not
so
true.
It makes sense to me that it's more... Right. That's why I like to clarify these things, because we are whole, but I feel like that other part of ourselves helps us become, whatever you want to call it. It's just the stronger element.
Yeah, no way do I feel split.
No.
Right.
You can think of it as two gardeners to the same, mind, to the same garden. So each one has its own unique blueprint. And they can work separately, but they work best together. You are significantly more powerful in union.
Exactly.
But,
I like that. That's very empowering.
Yeah.
It's a much different and deeper love, more expensive love, and even people who are with their soulmates, married to their soulmates, I believe, and I have in past experience with other partners, just got really bored. Like, and I was basically the soulmates I was attracting. They had key qualities that I was attracted to because they were my twin flame qualities, and they were just stepping stones to my twin. So that's one of the purposes that soulmates or non-soulmates can have in our lives.
Not to be confused with a false twin flame, who's never a soulmate. No. It's just a stepping stone. It appears to be your twin flame,
right.
Teaches you a particular lesson, and fast tracks you to your twin flame union.
Very true.
All right, I finally got it.
Yay! Happy claps.
Yay! One quick thing I wanted to mention first too is that I at least subscribe to the idea that it's not always a male and a female. It's more like the energy signatures of these things. So it could be someone who may have more masculine traits and someone who has more feminine traits coming together, whether they're male or female. I've heard, I don't know if you guys believe this, I've heard that it may even be someone who's not even on this earth plane right now.
Yeah, that's only 3% of all people. Everyone has a twin flame, and only 3% of people on the planet are here without their twin flame currently incarnated. But that's actually completely irrelevant because you can manifest your twin flame seamlessly from across the universe, and no one would know who jumped what planet.
Right.
Little quantum physics there. The quantum drop.
That's the next presentation.
Quantum mic drop. Yeah, that is actually our next presentation. Okay, so Bo, you have it ready to go?
It's all ready. Tell me where the camera. Is that good right there?
I can't. We're not going to be able to see the pictures, I don't think, unless you get closer.
How's that?
Yeah, farther down though. Yeah, that should be
That?
fine if you're able to keep it still. Yeah, that should be totally fine.
All right, so we're doing twin flames in cinema. Here's. How the heck do I go to the next slide? You got to be kidding me.
Uh-oh, you can't go to the next one?
Oh, there. All right, so what we're looking at right here, just a few intro points. I'm just noting that a twin flame story isn't always a love story. It can be an independent story for one character who has found his/herself in another being, in nature, on another plane of existence, etc. And guys, also, before I continue on, if at any time like the camera gets awkward and you can't see it too well, just let me know.
Okay.
Hey, Bo, is there any way you're able to make it so it's landscape?
How's that?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
you have
guess
to tilt it
it's
down
just the same.
the
Oh, there
screen.
you go. It's more clear now.
That might work out. Yeah, it is
Okay.
a little more clear. Awesome.
All right. Specifically, of the movies we're going to look at today, some of them aren't happy, complete twin flame journeys. So there's not always a happy ending. Either way, there is an adventure somewhere along the way. And last note on here is twin flames are not always the same species. You'll see that later on in this presentation.
Hey, Bo, sorry
right,
to interrupt. Is there any way you can move it a little bit more to the right?
My right or your right? This
my
way?
right.
Or this
Yeah. My right.
Right, this way? That way?
Other way.
This way?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Let me patch my arm. Okay, how's that?
It's starting to become more clear. It's the same spot it was. I don't know if you can make it just a little bit more to the right.
How's that?
That's about perfect, yes. Continue. Thank you.
Excuse me. All right, so for starters, I just want to say that if you haven't seen these movies, I'm pretty much going to spoil them. Because I'm going to dig deep into the details and it's going to review plot points. The movies in question are Southland Tales, Cloud Atlas, The Matrix Trilogy, What Dreams May Come, wow, The Time Traveler's Wife, and Green Lantern. Alright, so first we're going to start off with Southland Tales. Southland Tales, in summary, is a look at an alternate future around the time it's supposed to be 2008. The movie itself was made in about 2006. What we're looking at is there was another terrorist attack after 9/11, and the world itself, after that, becomes nothing but a military-industrial complex. What happens at this point is the movie revolves around an individual named Boxer Santoros, who is better known to us as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And throughout the entire movie, they're just trying to get him. He has amnesia at the same time. But the twin flames within the movie itself are Roland and Ronald Taverner. Specifically, what we're looking at is Ronald is introduced first, and you notice right off the bat there's something off about him. And what it ends up being is that Roland is actually directly connected to a portal that he goes through off set. And what that is the portal is a direct link to an alternate reality, so specifically a parallel universe. And immediately what happens right off the bat is his other self comes through, and that's they refer to him as his brother, but it's technically him, and that's his brother Ronald. What happens is Roland progressively carries kind of all the positive aspects about himself, while in contrast, Ronald carries all the guilt directly that has ever happened. The narrator of the film itself was actually Roland's best friend, and he notes that he has a massive scar tissue injury on his face, and that it was Roland's accidental inaction that caused that specifically. So what we're looking at that makes these two twin flames is that Roland is actually seeking his opposite. What's going down is a terrorist organization has Ronald captive, and we're led to believe throughout the whole movie that he's trying to save Ronald. When we finally see Ronald, it's revealed that the two are actually one and the same, or in the case of this, two separated by a dimension. What happens beyond that is Ronald is kind of actively opposing Roland because he doesn't want to be complete with him. He thinks that when they're back together, he's going to feel more guilt for what happened to the narrator of the story. So what happens when they finally meet? In a beautiful scene, and also, too, one thing I forgot to mention about this film, it's kind of a modern-day retelling of the Book of Revelation. So this is about the world ending. What specifically happens when they finally meet up is that all the past wounds are healed. Ronald, right off the bat, is kind of talked down by Roland, and he says, hey, you don't need to feel sorry for yourself because what happened was an accident. And then there's reconciliation between the two. They embrace, and as you saw in the last slide, there was kind of like a shining light. What that leads to is the world ending. So literally, these two meet up, and the world ends. And that also has to do with physics theory of you can't meet up with yourself or you destroy time. We're looking at the same generalized idea right there. All right. The Time Traveler's
Just a
Wife.
second, before we move on to the next one, let's maybe talk about the idea that the twin flame is the opposite, that they're opposites. What do you guys think about that?
I guess I'm not quite clear what you mean by opposites. Opposites of what?
Just
They were looking. It was one individual, but the negative and the positive were separated in two bodies. Is what they were getting at in the movie. So they're kind of leaning to each other, but they were actively opposing each other.
I guess what I see as opposites is complementary traits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Shaleia and I, we complement each other perfectly. Now we're the exact same in a lot of ways, and we have the same values, the same vision, the same desires, the same purpose, all the same, right? But at the same time, like, we're not the same person. Like, she has all of this. She's designed to be my complement. Like, I'm like this, and she's like this, and we don't work the same way. And when we come together, we fit like a perfect puzzle.
Yeah.
Right.
That's when you say opposites. That's what I hear, and that's what makes sense to me.
That makes sense. Where it's these two forces that complement, but they're also extremely different. But they're working towards one.
Yeah, but beyond that, we're designed to be that way, specifically created by the Creator, by the universe, by God, at the moment of our, creation of our souls, to complement each other eternally, grow together eternally.
Yeah, like I don't need to be the loudmouthed one. He does that very well. But I don't take,
So, for example, she's very grounding. She has a lot of earth signs. She's a Virgo, and I'm very fiery and very passionate.
That's what I was getting to. Where a lot of us are into astrology, and we look into kind of opposites, but we know how they could complement too. So
exactly.
That's good to know. That's interesting. Cool. Okay. Time Traveler's Wife. Is that our next?
Next one is Time Traveler's Wife. How's the camera angle?
I wanted to see this movie, and I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, I have not seen it, but...
ongoing with that, I would highly suggest the book over the movie, because actually a lot of the variables I'm going to talk about are in the book and not the movie itself.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Good to know.
So what we're looking at is the Time Traveler's Wife. The story in general is about a gentleman who's born with, they call it a genetic ability, but it's not really explained beyond that, where he gets displaced with time. So, as the story goes, the twin flames in this movie are Henry DeTamble and Claire Abshire. Claire initially meets Henry when she's about 6 years old. She's just playing in the field, and literally a naked guy comes out of a bush and is like, "Hey, can I borrow your blanket?" And that's how the story kicks off. So what we're looking at is the union for Claire throughout the story is to actually meet the present-day Henry. And so what we're looking at is Henry is living on our dimension, but he's traveling through it. And he doesn't have any control over this. It's just a situation where he can be just sitting, like reading a book, and then all of a sudden he's in 1963 in the middle of a street out of nowhere. And it's also heavily influenced that he can't change events that have already happened in his timeline. The very beginning of the story, Henry tells about how his mother dies when he's about 7 years old because he disappeared out of the back of the car that she was driving. It's hit because she's looking for him. From there, what happens next is eventually time goes on. He lives with this until he meets Claire. So what we're looking for throughout the entire story, Henry is actively seeks a cure for his ailment, and Claire at the actively seeks for the present-day Henry. Henry himself is a rebellious type with a penchant for secrets, alcohol, and drugs. And Claire's more conservative, which when she actually, after she meets Henry, she kind of develops a little rebellious type about herself. Henry, in a lot of ways throughout the entire story, acts as a mentor and a guide at some points to not only to himself, but to his daughter in later years, as well as Claire when she's growing up. Like, she has an entire journal about when he arrives, and the story itself is pretty much told from her journal entries. And it goes into contrast over time with that. Like, there's a few times when a younger Henry will arrive in the future, and he will meet the future Claire, who's already experienced this, and she'll give him advice. And it's a unique perspective, because what we eventually arrive to is Henry's pretty much the most important character in the story at the end of the day, because we find out that this genetic problem he carries is actually, one, harming Claire. Her genetics can't develop a child over it. And two, it's causing him a lot of stress in his life because there's so much he can't do. He's also got claustrophobia with this situation, so he really fears just landing, like he said, an elevator shaft is a primary example he goes through, and stuff to that measure. What happens to him is we see him grow as he's watching Claire grow throughout the story, and he eventually becomes a very powerful mentor to his eventual daughter, who's named Alba, in this story. And towards the end of the story, once, this is a spoiler, Henry does pass away, he actually becomes more of a spirit guide type to his daughter Alba.
Oh, wow.
And then there is a moment of dual ascension in this story, but it's not really in the movie as much as it is in the book. In the book, Henry passes away, and in his will he leaves a letter to Claire. And it's a letter saying, you have something to look forward to. You're going to see me again. But he doesn't give a specific date. And that, for me at least, was kind of the part of dual ascension. After Henry arrives the last time, he disappears, and then immediately after, Claire passes away. And in the movie itself, Henry arrives probably about 10 years after his death. And the audience is told through the work of Henry that his daughter is actually able to control this genetic thing about herself. She can actually will herself to go to any time. Their doctor, Dr. Kenrick, because of this, has actually won a whole bunch of awards. It's a progressive area of positivity for everyone after Henry is gone, is what we're looking at from here. All right, this is quite possibly... Okay, oh, let me pause. Go on.
What?
Oh, didn't you want me to pause after each one?
Oh, if people have thoughts, sure. I haven't seen that movie, so I'm not... I mean... Is there anything that stood out to you guys that you'd like to talk about with that one?
Definitely. I did see this movie. It was a long time ago, but as you're talking about this, this film and the twin flames in the film, and I would agree. I'd say they're definitely twin flames.
I was getting that.
And what really sticks out to me is just this eternal love that they have. And yeah, like you're saying at the end of the film, when he comes back like 10 years later to visit, it's this really emotional moment, and Claire is just like, she's running to him, and it's so powerful. There's so much love. And like she waited the whole 10 years. Like she didn't try to move on at all. And you know she's not going to move on because that's her ultimate lover. There's no one else for her beyond that. And I think that really illustrates well the twin flame dynamic, who your twin flame is and what that person is to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, in the book, it's actually like a lot later. I think it's like 40 years. As you saw in the movie, it's literally like 10 years. But yeah, that scene always spoke out to me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally do get you with that. Anybody else before I go on to the next movie? All right. This one's gonna be one to think about, guys. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I've seen it
Cloud
once,
Atlas.
but
Yeah,
I need to
Cloud
watch
Atlas.
it again because I was so confused by
Yeah,
I do have diagrams.
Yeah. You have to watch Cloud Atlas multiple times to finally start to begin to get it.
The best way to understand Cloud Atlas, I would say, is to watch the movie about 3 times and read the book, because it's so complex. Let's see.
Well, you actually found a pretty cool timeline, right? A pretty cool link map
on here, yeah.
that shows you the
I have 3
relationship
of the maps
throughout
on
time.
here that I found.
Oh my god.
Okay. So, before I go to the slideshow, Cloud Atlas itself, if you're not familiar with the story, it is a generational soulmate and twin flame and karmic teacher story. As each time progresses, it's signaled to the audience by two ways. There's a shooting star birthmark, and there's a series of journals, and then theses, and then actual published books. And how it works is each prior book is read by the next generation, and they're connecting through memories and so on and so forth. And it's a continuous transition story where the previous generation, if not still a man, is a woman in the next generation, and then you see like someone who was a villain in the previous life as a negative karmic teacher as a positive one in the next life, and then there's neutral parties that reappear throughout, and so on and so forth. So how they signal it to you in the movie itself is look for the shooting star. The shooting star itself, if you can see it, it's right there. It's a birthmark more often than not. Every time you see it in the movie, it's a birthmark on somebody, and they'll bring that back to you too. There is a part where you see it on someone's back. There's a part when you see it on someone's chest, on their ankle. Every time you see it, it's a message to you. Okay, this is the person you should be concentrating on because you saw their story previously.
To be continued.
He's being summoned.
Fire,
Yeah,
fire,
Sorry, guys. I'll be right back.
okay.
Cool.
No, I thought that Cloud Atlas, a lot of people didn't enjoy it, but I thought it was mind-blowing. I mean, I think some of us, especially when we're involved in like the spiritual, mystical community, we eat that kind of stuff up, while other people are just like, what did I just watch? So I think we start to see elements that we're used to and comfortable with, and it was really a mind-blowing movie.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't heard of it though.
Definitely push the envelope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like how they. It is pretty confusing with the timelines and stuff like that, and I get a little confused with the whole going back and forth in times. But those relationships stand out so much that starts to be not as like important in your head. You're just thinking, oh my gosh, you know, whether it was the past or the future, these people have been together from the beginning of time, and it's just really humbling to think about that.
Yeah. It's cool to see it played out in a movie. It makes it more kind of real, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, real.
Traveling too. Like the two last ones is like, even the first one is a lot about switching dimension and time. I find it pretty cool. That link with twin flames. I don't know if it's an accurate one or not, but it's interesting. Find to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had kind of talked about that, where a lot of them do involve time travel, so that's interesting. What do you guys think about that? Like, do you think that happens in real life outside of the movies? Do you think that Twin Flames meeting involves any kind of time travel or interdimensional travel, or is it usually just on the Earth plane?
Sure. Well, the universe is a playground, and you can go anywhere you would desire, and you're always in the place where it's most appropriate for you. And you and your twin flame eternally grow together.
Mm-hmm.
So you're almost always going to end up in pretty much the same place, or just you're just one choice away from being back again with them. Even if you chose to have lifetimes across the universe, you can bridge that gap instantly. Just a choice.
Yeah, it's true. Love is a powerful force, isn't it?
Bo is back. Bo is back.
Yep. Okay. Sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
Okay.
All right. All right. So what we're looking at is right in here. This is the timeline of the stories throughout the entire book/movie. So it starts with the Pacific Journal of Adam Ewing, and it's telling the story about a doctor who's what he doesn't know on at the time is a slave ship, and how he's kind of searching for human rights several years before they even really had them.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Down a bit so I can see
the story itself isn't really told in non-linear, but once you get to this stage, which is Felocia's crossing it everything after, which is set in the very far future, that's where all of the feelings of these quote-unquote star-crossed lovers come into play. But so it goes. But what happens at this point is directly, as opposed to an ascension, directly like elevating themselves. It goes back to the happiest time for the lovers that are in the story, which is all the way back to the Pacific Journal of Adam Ewing. And if you guys can't see this too well, it's just got the stories named out, and then it goes backward, and then these two on the outside are the same story.
Cool. Okay, thanks.
So the stories themselves, it goes the Pacific Journal of Adam Ewing, Letters from Zedelgam, Half-Lives, The First Louis Lay Mystery, The Ghastly Ordeal of Timothy Cavendish, and then An Orson of Sorani 451, and then Slosh's Crossing and Everything After. So each story, you see the characters essentially appear at certain points, their karmic teachers, so on and so forth. And then, like I said, instead of ascending to another level, they just go back to where it was happiest in the first story of the Pacific Journal of Adam Ewing. All right.
That's actually pretty
It's
cool.
kind of hard
Yeah,
to see.
this map. You know what, Bo? Let me go ahead and share my screen for this one because I want everyone to see this this craziness. Okay, I think it really
It's
helps
insane,
cement things.
yeah.
Okay, let me know, guys, if you
So-
can see this. Hold on.
So what we're looking at right here is the bodies over every generation. Whoa, what happened to the screen?
Are you able
Okay,
to
there
see
we
it?
go. Yeah, I see it now.
Okay.
So what we're looking at is the transitions over time periods. As you can see, it starts at 1849 and then it ends at 2321. With that specific, the characters, as well as switching bodies, the bodies come back in at a later point in the film, inhabited by another spirit. But that's kind of like it was the cinematic effect more than anything else. It was just actors changing roles over time. There's only about like probably 8 actors in this entire film. And so you'll notice kind of a common transition. If you follow the very first story at 1849, the South Pacific, which is the journal we previously mentioned, Adam Ewing, you'll notice that the character starts out evil. And then 2 stories later, he's in the good range. This is a common thread throughout the entire story. Somebody starts out at a bad point, and then they turn good, and then they turn bad again, and then they progress to where they should be at the end of the story. And some of them, as you can see, stay evil. Some of them are mostly around the neutral area. And I'm trying to find the main person with the star tattoo, and it's looking like it's looking like more than anything else. If you guys can see the main one that's first on neutral, that starts with a purple line, I believe that's the one with the star tattoo, but it's kind of hard to differentiate at this point.
I think so.
But yeah,
I think you're right.
That's the travels of each of their lives right there. What you're looking at. So as you can see, this entire story transitions well over several generations. All right. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll put the camera back on.
Okay.
All right. Slide. All right, so actually we're done with that story. If you have any more questions, like I said, I would highly suggest watching the movie multiple times and reading the book at least once. Because, like, even now, I've seen the movie several times. I've read the book probably twice now, and I still can't fully comprehend it. But I think
I
my
love movies like that
explanation,
because you find something new each time. It's like an ever-growing thing. I love it.
yeah, like my explanation for that, I think that's probably the simplest way I've ever heard it fully explained. And there's a lot more to it. Like I didn't really go into character details. I'd suggest it if you guys haven't seen it. Did anyone want to put in their 2 cents on that one?
It's too big for me to touch.
Everyone's scared to tackle this one. They're just like, oh.
That movie had no point. Their ascension, they never ascended. They never became better. They never anything. It was like, ah!
You just skip
They
through
went back to
talking
the
it,
happiest point of their quote-unquote lives, was what it amounted to. They descended in a way, but it was a positive descension.
So I guess it begs the question: what do you feel the ascension would have been, Natalie? Like, what in your mind do you think should have kind of been the resolution?
It's been a long time since I watched it, but I just remember feeling like, what's the point? I mean, if you're not going to progress, you're not going to learn from your mistakes. It's like the same girl, the one that she kept being sacrificed like every single time, but she never actually continued to be sacrificed. It was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think every story, one or two people dies a terrible death. Now that I think about it, it's always it was always like a combat story of the universe, just trying to keep these two apart throughout their lives. Never failed. All right, ready for the next one, guys?
Do it.
All right. I know a lot of people are excited about this one. The story itself is What Dreams May Come.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So the story itself concentrates on Chris and Anne, or Annie, Nielsen. This is definitely a twin flame story. They call it soulmates in the movie book itself, but I viewed it more as a twin flame story. This has multiple locations across multiple dimensions in it. We start out on Earth, of course, then Chris's own heaven, then hell, and then at one point they kind of hint that there's a rebirth, but you could actually kind of contest that with the actual book itself. But for learning purposes, I'm just going to concentrate on the movie on this one. So what we have, how the story kicks off itself is shown a very quick and slow progression of Chris and Annie's relationship. And what I mean from that is the solid point of where they meet all the way up to essentially the death of their children and then Chris's death. Chris is an acting pediatrician, and at one point in the story there's a car crash. He goes to help. Somebody runs through the barrier at the car crash, and Chris dies. From there, Chris goes on one of the most amazing metaphysical adventures ever. So what happens is Chris gets into heaven. The heaven that he goes to directly is based upon his favorite place. This place, the name escapes me, but what we're looking at, it was the first place that he and Annie met. It was in Italy, and they both kept track of it very often. Annie's an artist, and she actually had a huge mural painted of this when Chris was still alive. What happens once Chris gets to heaven is he gets explanations to him from different karmic teachers along the way. So his first karmic teacher is Albert, who we're led to think in the beginning that Albert was actually his mentor on Earth. And who Albert actually ends up being is his son. And how that works out is they signify that whenever you choose a heaven, you do get a job, and then from there you can choose to go to other people's heavens. And what it amounted to was Chris's son absolutely worshipped his father, and he looked up to him a lot. And in life, after death, he wanted his father to look up to him, so he became his mentor in the afterlife. Next met with Leona, who's a tour guide in heaven pretty much, and a caretaker of children, and this ends up being his daughter, who decides specifically that she recalls a time when she's a child and they were on a flight together, and the stewardess walked by and her dad said, "Wow, that's one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen." So in the afterlife, that's what she became. And then his last karmic teacher is a gentleman simply known as the guide. And the guide is an individual who is willing to transgress through heaven, hell, and purgatory, literally as a guide. And we find out towards the end of the story that the guide himself is actually Albert, who was initially Chris's mentor and teacher when he was alive. And so what kicks off immediately that kind of signals the whole story is the connection that Chris and Annie have to the tree that's at their location of his heaven as it transitions. Immediately after Chris's death, Annie goes into despair, and she starts kind of recreating the picture itself. What happens is, every time she recreates the picture on Earth, it gets recreated in heaven. So, here we are looking at a picture where Annie is actually enthusiastic about all the memories, and then she gets depressed and she starts ruining the picture, and that's what we see signified by the tree right over here. With that specifically, in the story, that's what they signify is the grand connection between Annie and Chris, where it's literally their feelings for each other are reaching across dimensions and influencing his environment, his paradise that he's living in. She's ruining it because she can't let go. What ends up happening throughout the story is Chris decides he can't let go of it. And Annie ends up in depression, killing herself over direct conflict about Chris's death. She can't get over it. She's depressed. She kills herself. That's where the guide comes into play, and he ends up taking Chris and Albert all the way down to hell, where we're at a standstill with what's left of the soul of Annie, and she's just in thick denial. She doesn't know who Chris is, and Chris ends up choosing to go purely mad in an eternal soul and to stay with Annie. And what happens with that is she gets redeemed at this point, and she literally is pulled out of the darkness because of Chris's love. And what happens at this point is they both ascend directly up into the heaven that we're looking at directly throughout the entire movie. And then at that point, that would be the point of ascension to me. It's kind of differentiates from the book because at the end of the movie they do get reincarnated and then go back as kids to play with a toy boat in the water. In the movie, or in the book, if memory serves, I don't believe that was actually in the book. But they did have the point of ascension.
What were the actors in the movie again? I think I've seen that one. I'm pretty sure. If you
It's
know.
Annabella Sciorra and Robin Williams.
Yeah, that's it. It's Robin Williams, right? At some point he jumps off the cliff and whatever, and I don't know. I just saw the movie. I didn't see the. Yeah. It was a good movie, and the guy is dead too. I just watched a comedy show of him lately. I'm like, oh no.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that actor. Anyways, cool. Robin Williams, great. Cool.
And Marisa, did you want me to
Movie I was thinking.
go on to the next movie immediately, or did you want to have Jeff and is it Shayla?
Shaleia.
Shaleia, I'm
Sorry, we keep forgetting it. It goes in one.
Sorry.
I need an
It happens to me
association
too.
word to it. I don't know. Sure, if they have any thoughts on that one. I personally, I know it's crazy. I have not seen that movie, so there's not a lot I could say on that. But
I just ruined the entire movie for you.
that's
Bring
cool.
back the Kleenex.
Yeah, I hear.
Well, I just got excited when you started dropping the words ascension and heaven, and I got a few things to say if you guys want to talk about that just for a minute.
Sure.
Hey, go ahead.
So, let me first pose the question: what is heaven?
Do you mean that metaphorically?
No, I mean
Oh.
posing the question for someone else here who feels inspired to answer it. No, what is
Cricket.
heaven?
The way
this
they
is a
look
direct-
at it in the movie wouldn't be how everyone would look at it. They look at it as it's your own individual paradise that's created from pretty much anything that they don't refer to the mind anymore at that point. They're like you. They explain in the movie well. It's like they're like, what makes you you? And he's like, my soul. And he's like, no, you is you. And so what came from Chris is what created his heaven, with borders to other heavens that were belonging to other souls. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know that this is actually like a really complex topic. You're talking about
Yeah.
you know, like reincarnation and like there's so many different definitions of heaven and like, you know, an afterlife sort of thing. But I think what they're representing in the movie is kind of a really juicy, like funky, artistic way to say like, you know, your heaven is something you experience within right now, and it's your personal heaven, and it has borders to other people's personal heavens, and you can like interlace them.
Right. Yeah, I like the idea of the personal heaven.
I mean, my thought of heaven is
I find
the state that one attains in the. Oh, I don't mean to interrupt.
Oh yeah, I was just trying to bring my opinion like about like I think heaven's like a dispatching like it's like a wait zone. I don't know. I think there's many like steps to go through in heaven to actually reach like a certain point of how high in heaven you go or how low in hell you would go. You know, to sort of right spectrum. I mean, that's how I kind of see it. I don't think like and could be related to you know what you're saying too when you say like it could be your own personal reflection of it brings you to a certain level in that heavenly.
So let's talk about the law of attraction here. You bring up some really good points about different levels of heaven and different levels, you know, of different stages and such. So when you die, nothing changes other than the scene, and you know you go to a different reality, sort of. But you're attracting that level of reality. So you know you tend to like.
So with Annie dying in a very negative situation, she would go to the most negative place that could be manifested for her.
Well, she'd go to the appropriate place that's manifesting as a result of her thoughts. So she's feeling really negative, and there's like barriers and boundaries. Like the universe is a good place. It's not like because she's thinking, you know, hellish thoughts, she like goes to hell. Like she's thinking hellish thoughts. So there's a place she goes to, you know, we can call it purgatory, and it's like a hellish place where she purges these negative emotions. And then when she's done clearing these thoughts, then she can rise and go to a more pleasant astral realm and prepare for her next life.
Or depending on her will too, if she doesn't want to change or stay the same way or whatever and go more chaotic, not to be negative, but I think both polarities could be possible, right? Depending on the soul.
I mean, it's up to the soul how they choose. If they're enjoying this experience or they're inviting this experience of hell and negativity, sure they can go into a deeper hell.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's like ridiculously, extremely, absurdly rare that someone's experiencing hell and they're like, yeah, I choose more of this. Most people are like, oh, this sucks. How do I get out of this?
As you said before, it's the most appropriate, right? That's the right word. Most appropriate, I think, is the right word. Whatever is best for that soul to go low or high.
Yes.
Whatever, how low or high she could be, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
I wanted to talk about the twin flame story in this movie and how I felt when I forgot his name. I'm gonna call him Robin.
Robin Williams.
When Robin Williams went to go retrieve Annie in hell, I felt that was really indicative of what happens on Earth too. How one twin flame can be in such emotional turmoil and peril, and say they're in a Great Depression or they have a severe mental illness or PTSD, and you know your other the other twin flame like Robin is you know in a pretty okay space, you know, and how they experience separation, but eventually they got to reunite, and they got to reunite because he offered her the healing that she needed, and it felt like it was only God through Robin, her twin flame, that could give her exactly the medicine that she needed in order to rise above and pull out of her hell, her shit, basically, and join him in their heaven, which is where the twins are supposed to be. Like Jeff was saying, it's like two gardeners in a garden. Well, there's a perfect example. They're supposed to be in that same painting, that same heaven together. And so that's why I'm trying to think what would have mirrored Robin's hell. If she were in hell, he must have had to have felt that too, because twins always feel the exact same thing.
It was mirroring.
Well, they signify that at the end of the movie. Like he's starting to feel her emotions, of the emotions of her hell, and that's what they were worried about. They were like, if you stay in there too long, you're going to be trapped with her.
Right.
He volunteers to stay so he can be with her.
True. True.
I find it's more like a Hollywood scenario kind of thing when the female looks all in distress and the male is the ultimate thing. I think it's just a traditional Hollywood thing they're doing as the scenario. But if you take it as a real event life thing, I don't know. The girl's kind of messed up and the guy's okay.
That's not true.
Are we ready for the last two movies?
That's actually the opposite. He is right. In all the goddess and god stories, the goddess saves the god. Just so you guys know. The female saves the male. Interesting with this movie, though, I used this movie with my twin because when the first time I dreamed of him, I died in my dream and he crossed me over. And when he took me to our heaven, it was like this. It was like the little girl's dream where everybody was creating their own adventure and they were becoming their authentic selves and doing what they wanted. So I actually love this movie when it comes to the twin flames.
Well, I think you have a really brilliant and beautiful story, an indication of, like in your dream, the dying represented your, your ego self, the overlay, the heavy overlay that prevents you from being in your divine self. And it's when you step into your divine self, by following your heart and choosing love, that you can step into your heaven and attract and be with your twin flame. So that was a really beautiful, you had a really beautiful dream, and it illustrates a really awesome point.
Maybe we should move on now. We got a few to go, right?
This is what these next two are two that people are going to absolutely love or absolutely hate. So first we have the Matrix trilogy.
That's one of my favorite twin flame stories. Seriously, excellent. Neo and Trinity are excellent.
I'm looking at it kind of a different way, though.
This was kind of a surprise one because you guys, I think, might be like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Yeah. So this will be interesting.
So I look at the twin flame story of Neo and Agent Smith. So what we're looking at is, for starters, we notice right off the bat that Neo is unique to the environment that he's from. If you pay attention enough in the movie, you actually find out that Agent Smith is unique among the agents. He seems to react to his senses a lot more, as well as initial feeling in general. Throughout the series, you notice that his vocabulary is a lot different than regular agents, too, as well as the fact that he, unlike anyone else in the story, looks at the Oracle and literally calls her mother directly. So I'm basing this off of another film theory that originally said Neo wasn't the one, Agent Smith was the one, but when I looked kind of heavier into it, I kind of realized that more often than not, they're actually twin flames. So what we're looking at is their first confrontation. What happens directly is Agent Smith is destroyed. What happens from that? His essence within the Matrix reformulates itself, and he has what's essential adaptation essence of what initially destroyed him. So if you look at Neo himself as a virus in a computer program, that's what happens to Agent Smith. He essentially resurrects himself or reprograms himself, call it what you will. I don't know what you would call it for a computer algorithm, but he gets reformed, and then he has a lot of the traits that Neo has. So much so that he's able to change the existing environment, and then in doing so, completely inhabit everyone around him, to the point where he eventually takes over the Matrix.
Yep.
So what happens this specifically is we're looking at an individual where if for whatever reason he goes back to his source, he's going to reboot the entire system. And that's what happens is Neo gets to the point where he has to kind of make a deal with the devil, and he goes straight up to the source of the machine, and he says, hey, you got a problem, I'm probably the only one who can take care of it.
Bo, I think your hand might be on your microphone. It seems muffled.
How's that?
That's good. What was the last sentence you just said?
I totally forgot.
Did anyone hear it?
Oh, just go.
Anyways, so what we're looking at is he literally goes to the source of the machines, they plug him into the system, and it's a free-for-all battle directly between Agent Smith and as well as Neo. And so to review, what we're looking at is two very unique individuals who get drawn directly into a story. What happens, though, when Neo is eventually taken over by Agent Smith is that it causes a direct link to all the lost information that is within the Matrix, and the Matrix itself gets rebooted, and it becomes paradise for the machines and humanity. So what we're looking at is Neo's point of ascension into the Agent Smith program and Agent Smith's destruction at the hand of being linked back with Neo is a rebooting of the entire system, and it causes complete paradise and harmony in that incarnation of the Matrix between humanity and machines.
Well, wow. Does anyone have any thoughts on that theory?
Yeah, definitely. So I think there's a clear confusion about what is a twin flame, because Neo and yes, thank you. Neo and Agent Smith they're definitely opposites, right? But Agent Smith represents Neo's ego self that he has to clear out and destroy, and in the end of the trilogy, he ends up doing so.
Yeah, it represents his limitation. Smith does, and how he needs to overcome his limitation in order to embrace and express his full power as the chosen one.
So Smith is this kind of equal, opposite, opposing force. But that's not a twin flame.
Mm-hmm. It's more like a catalyzer to get Neo going,
Yeah. So the twin flame story in The Matrix is Neo and Trinity, and it's gorgeous.
Oh.
It's really...
It really represents the twin flame union very well. Probably
I
one
was
of the best
expecting
movies.
that too. Trinity.
Yeah, I've seen where they are true partners in crime.
And here's the other part that's really juicy, is that as soon as Neo decides to follow the White Rabbit, like he chooses this this path of being the hacker, and that's who he really is inside. He's not this cubicle guy. He chooses to be the hacker. He follows the White Rabbit, and Trinity's on his computer, and he meets her for the first time. And then he gets closer and closer to her as he's choosing this path of discovering what the Matrix is. And that's how they come together, because he chooses. Yeah, I thought you were a guy.
I know the lines of the first Matrix by heart. It's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
It is a great, Trinity Neo, fucking great. I like that too.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have thoughts about that theory?
Well, I disagree with the twin flame of Smith and Neo. I find it's more like a rivalry. But Trinity and Neo, I find that they're really together all the way. Like,
Yeah.
You can really sense
I didn't see the last one, the third one.
at the core.
While
really like meant to be. edgy look. Everything's fucking cool.
Well, Smith
For real, I like that.
and Neo do have a certain oneness through their, through their connected paths. It's a different oneness than Neo and Trinity share. Neo and Trinity are working together, whereas Neo and Agent Smith are working opposite. They're opposing forces, and that's the different. Your twin flame isn't your opposing force. Your twin flame is your partner in crime.
Yeah.
Interesting
Next.
theory. Interesting discussion.
Yeah. Well, sorry, Bo. We ruined your twin flame plan.
No. I mean, we realized with this one that they would be kind of polarized.
I
and I
knew,
think it brings good
we
discussions.
knew people were going to be like, what?
Well, it's definitely very intriguing, and Joe, I think you did a really good job of highlighting a common misconception that maybe it isn't often talked about, that maybe twin flames are your polar opposite, and you got to have conflict all the time, but there's something beautiful as a result of it, which is what happened in the movie. Mm-hmm. But that's the misconception, and it's not really out there very much in common knowledge that your twin flame is, your partner in crime, your equal, your eternal lover, and it's illustrated in all of these love stories in the movies. Mm-hmm. Because when someone conceives of in Hollywood this perfect romance to put on screen and be really attractive and magnetic, they always talk about a perfect twin flame story, because that's what's deeply seated in everyone's hearts, and everyone relates and resonates with it. Mm-hmm.
I find the Matrix, though, is the most revelating of our world right now, which is like we're stuck in this like machine world, and there's more to that Matrix than what we live. So it's it shows really well the dimensional plane that we can travel to free ourselves. Mm-hmm. Less than the twin flame story to the other movies we talked about that.
Right. That would be a whole hangout on its own.
All right.
It's all like a spiritual movie, but I think this one is more
right.
real and more like what we're going through like, as humanity than like a couple thing, like as a twin flame, As if I compare like to the other one, What Dreams May Come, that one was really like, like the demon heaven and plane. The other two ones were like time shifting and stuff, so I don't know, it's cool, but also my kind of interest, so it's cool.
Also, some really good themes that you're weaving here, Bo. I'm not sure if it was intentionally or if it was kind of divinely inspired through you, but there's definitely building a discussion here throughout your work.
Yeah, it's a great combination.
We wanted to discuss it, yeah.
All right. Bring it on home. What's our
last one?
Oh no!
This last one. This last one, I love it, and I also think it's hilarious at the same time. We're talking about one of the most hated movies within the last 10 years. It's Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
That's a superhero movie.
Hold on, you're kind of muffled again.
Can you see it?
From Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what we're looking at is we have Hal Jordan, played by Ryan Reynolds, and we have the Green Lantern ring. So what we're looking at is, it's not really revealed too much in the story, but if you know, like, the mythology, you realize that the ring itself is actually living. It's got the embodiment of willpower living inside of it. What we're looking at is, this is a story where the embodiment of willpower is literally saying to this average fighter pilot, of all the people directly in this entire sector, which is like so many millions of planets and stars, you're the one that... And so, if we're looking at the two specifically, it develops in many ways just like a standard hero's journey. He runs from the call initially when this ring finds him. And he doesn't believe he has what it takes to challenge the embodiment of fear, which is named Parallax. And he has a lot of emotional baggage. And what it is the ring, they don't really do it in the movie too much, but the ring actually is self-aware and says talk. So it says to him...
You're getting really muffled again. I think your thumb's on the microphone.
How's that?
Yeah, that's
Can you hear me now?
better.
So what it amounts to is this ring is actually saying to him, you know what? You do have fear, but you have the ability to overcome great fear. And that's why I chose you. I want to be with you. Together, you and I become an opposing force. And it is together that they literally take on the universe's embodiment of fear, Parallax, and sucker punch him and send him directly into the sun and save the galaxy. With that, in conclusion, that was directly all the films I'm reviewing today. And with that specifically, our next presentation is going to be Hero's Journey and Spiritual Aspects of Quantum Leap. And stay tuned for our polls on the Mysticism with Mars group for future presentations.
Yay!
And then there's John Betterman.
Cool.
That was awesome, Bo.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sure really got discussion going. And for I haven't seen half of those movies, even though I'm really into film. But yeah, those are some ones I'll sink my teeth into and check out. Or were there any that really stand out to you guys that you want to mention that are must watch twin flame movies?
Every Disney movie about love.
And just all the Disney movies, right?
The Little Mermaid's a great one.
We did mention that. We were kind of joking around, and I said, "How about the Little Mermaid, Bo?" He's like, "Hey,
Beauty and the Beast, Lion King.
Beauty and the Beast, yep, all of it.
What's funny about the Beauty and the Beast and stuff, though, is that people think that about this whole, it's wrong. Like, the whole saving thing. If you actually meet an awake man, he's not going to save you. He's going to make you take care of your own shit.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
so you know.
That's what Belle did for the Beast. Is that she shows up and she's like, "Look, you don't treat me like crap. You treat me well." And they have all these fights and they're hilarious. But in the end, it's the courage to love each other that brings them home and choose kindness.
Yeah.
It brings them home.
I think one thing I'd like to mention that comes up sometimes, but not often, is, well, I think there's a misconception that these unions are always perfect and rainbows and unicorns, and that's not exactly the case. Especially if you're yourself not loving yourself or you're not whole.
Yeah.
I feel like there will be some issues. It's not going to be.
Marisa, Shaleia and I love ourselves completely, 100%, all day long, all the time, always have, and we have conflict all the time.
Exactly.
Even when you are loving yourself completely, in your union and in your life, your union will cause conflict because you're desiring to grow, and we're on a place of great contrast on the earth. So we're desiring these wonderful things, and we're moving toward it, and our twin flame is there, helping us to move forward at our desired pace toward what we desire easily.
The spiritual teacher Ram Dass once said, "If you think you're so spiritually enlightened, spend a weekend with your family." And it's funny because it's true, but what trumps that family experience, because their family triggers a lot in everyone, is your twin flame. Your twin flame will trigger even more so than your family and amplify that because they are you, and they're going to show you all the areas in your life where you need to be loving yourself, because when you invite your twin flame into your life, you're inviting divine love into your life, meaning you're inviting God. And when God shows up, when divine love shows up, you got to make a choice. So you're going to go back to your old patterns and your old ways and not have your twin flame, or you're going to make a different choice and choose to love yourself and choose to experience your heaven on earth, like in what dreams may come. That's such a good example, of choosing personal hell and choosing thoughts of separation, and not choosing love, to finally being so jolted and shocked into awakening that she finally chose love again. But they needed that experience. They have to test almost.
You know what? Even with all of our modern day movies, one thing I've noticed is, if it's the only time I've ever really heard the actual term is a documentary or like a very indie film, but you never hear twin flames in film. Like, never. It's always soulmates or, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You know.
Twin flames is a
Yeah.
new term coming to consciousness because the consciousness of the planet is now beginning to accept the vibration of twin flames, which is significantly, stupendously higher than soulmates.
Yeah.
There's no comparison.
Yeah. So we're
Have
hoping
you two
that. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, have you two like seen the whole twin soul concept? Have you guys seen that in movies? Because I feel like I have.
What is what do
Like
you mean by that?
on certain branches of teaching with twin souls, there's like 13 pairs of twin flames, and there's one that connects them all together. That's the twin soul.
I mean, that's a
not
fun
familiar with that
concept to
either.
talk about, but that's not twin flames. That's a different concept entirely.
I never heard
Well,
Yeah, I
like
wouldn't-
I'm
Jeff's
I'm
cameras,
actually
they hardly
interested
bring
in what you're saying because I've actually started seeing that recently. Where
Can you
mine and my
explain
twin are now
that?
having others think that we are also, they're like connecting to us as if we are their twin, but we don't have the connection with them like we have with each other. But when they look at us, it's almost like they feel connected to us, if that makes sense.
No,
So
can
I'm
you
curious.
repeat that again, please?
I'm interested in what he's saying because just recently, so mine and my twin are connected, but he's gay, okay? And I'm okay with that. It's a long story. But him and I are now having, and we are identical in all things, but now we have other people connecting to us thinking that we are their twin, and we don't have the dreams like we have with each other.
So let me
They're
help you with this.
thinking
This
to us
is
that we
this
are
is a
their
different
twin.
concept. You're moving away from the twin flame concept and pulling on something else that isn't going to bring you into your union. So your twin flame can't possibly not connect with you sexually unless it's some very unique situation where they're coming in as a child or a parent.
It's kind of funny because
But at
we
this time on
actually
the planet,
think about
it's
meeting the beast.
for lovers.
I know what I'm saying is he's actually questioning his sexuality as we speak, so he may
That's
actually
fine.
transform.
Sure. So in the
But
end,
what I was talking about was what Bo was talking about is I'm actually curious about what he was saying because I think I've never seen this before, but it's starting to happen where other twins are starting to connect to us as if we are their anchor.
I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You mean other twin couples are connecting to your bond, like not people outside of relationships, or?
Yeah, it's really bizarre. So I've always believed in just like me and my twin, right? But suddenly there are other twin flames connecting to us, almost
like soul family.
kind of no, but it's like a polytope where there's other twins. Like it's the weirdest, bizarrest thing I've ever even heard of. I've never even. It's a new concept coming in, and I don't even know how to even touch it. So I was kind
Bo,
of curious what Bo
why
was
don't
saying.
you explain that theory that you've come across about this twin souls?
It's not like all it is it's essentially they looked at it's one of the fewest things I've ever found connected with twin flames. It's like kind of a new idea, but essentially is got 13 sets of twin flames, so 26 people. And then there's one individual who is acting as their connecting force, if that makes sense. Like they would be the matchmaker, but they would influence all these individuals. And they're supposed to be like called the twin soul.
This is exactly what we're doing right now, Shaleia and I.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm actually a pro at matching people where I want out of relationships, but carry on.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I said I'm really good at matching people, but I never really get what I want out of relationships, but carry on.
So there's a unique thing happening, and it's just weird, Bo, how you're describing exactly what's happening in our lives right now. That
I'm
Shaleia
sentient.
yeah, Shaleia and I are leaders of the Ascension, and I don't say that as a joke. I don't say that for status. I don't say that lightly at all. We've incarnated here to lead this Ascension, and to do that, we have certain friends, twin flame friends, we're meeting up with here on the planet. And yes, we are the twin flame set that are calling them all together, almost like a soul family that we choose to create here on the planet, to bring us all together, as a core set of twin flames.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
That's intense.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of power in it. because we have a really big vision, and we can't do it alone.
Interesting. That's making more sense now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I've observed that
It's not
too.
just like ascending souls, it's like ascending twin souls. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and as you come into your union, you're going to attract people who are very much like you. They resonate and align with you.
Yep, I agree. I agree totally.
Okay, also, I have something to say. That makes a lot of sense with the numbers that you
Oh, hi, Jack.
Hi! It's been so long. Okay. I work with sacred geometry and astrology.
Wow.
And I was like, took all the friends that have come into my life and layered charts and seen some very interesting things. And then I started studying physics, and there's this finite law of motion diagram that has those 12 points, which also is the Metatron's cube. So it creates, like, the Metatron's cube is the most solid, like, kind of solid. And so if you use that in people and in games, that makes a lot of sense. That could be.
I don't think we heard the last part.
I didn't hear the last sentence.
Yeah, the last part was.
I heard fuck all for like a minute.
That's it.
It was kind of creepy.
Okay, but that's not it. So there's much. But that's all I have to say right now. I have it all like written down and drawn out stuff, but I don't. I'm traveling right now, so I don't find it. But if we are gonna talk about that series sometime, I'll make sure there's something where I think that this is possible.
I don't think we heard it all. So are you talking about? You were talking about Metatron's cube in relation to like the 26 that he's talking about.
Yes, because when I do astrology, I see like certain sacred geometry in aspects and stuff, and I found some very, very interesting things between me and my family members that actually create the platonic solids in angles in the planets in the charts, and with the north nodes and stuff.
Oh.
Cool.
I can't hear nothing. I can't hear Bo at all.
And then there's a fixed finite law. You want to just keep talking? I think I know what I do have something I can show.
I can hear you now, Jack.
Oh, okay. It's probably because I got all excited. But there's this physics equation that has the Metatron's cube in it, like the angle, the point, and it's like the finite law of motion, an equation of physics. So if I find those angles in solid between them, and then take physics, and then hear this theory, I think that is totally possible. With points and numbers. I hear certain numbers and then
So we're looking at an actual physical equation that we can look at for twin souls and developing twin flames.
I think that it's possible, yeah. Like.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I agree, and what's interesting about this is we've been actually using Metatron's cube, me and my twins, so it's kind of fascinating you're talking about that.
I found, and between me and my family members, there's so much divine design that I have seen. It like literally made me cry.
I can't hear the guy at all.
Can you hear me?
I could hear. I don't know if anyone else.
I can hear her.
I hear nothing. Maybe you muted me. I don't know.
No, you're not muted.
Everything sounds fine to me.
I know, but I can't hear him. I can't hear nothing, I swear. Anyways.
Well, what if we talk a little bit about here, we kind of touched on astrology a little bit. Like I said, a lot of us study it. and you guys had started talking about your own astrology, Jeff and Shaleia. Do you want to mention anything about that, the correlations you've seen, or how much you know about that thing?
I just want to say generally when it comes to twin flame astrology, one twin flame's birth chart is the key and the other is the lock. So that's the most complete picture that I can talk about. Like, for instance, I'm a Virgo and Jeff is an Aries, and in astrology we're considered the least compatible match. But the truth is that we are the most perfect match, and we're the most compatible for us and for our specific blueprint. Yeah. So
your girl gave me a lock and she had the key. I don't know.
Very nice.
That's a twin flame.
That's a twin flame sign right there. That is a twin flame sign.
Yeah, a couple of those.
So
Another girl gave me a Tibetan thing. There's an Asian chick. She gave me that thing. She's like for higher chakras and shit. I don't know.
So yeah, every single twin flame set, they're gonna have different astrology based on their own needs and based on their design when they
based
came
on their
in.
Purpose.
And based on
I actually wanted to talk about the Green Lantern. We didn't get to touch on that very much. And Bo, you were bringing up about how the ring kind of chose the Green Lantern, of everyone else in the whole universe or the whole world. Like, the Green Lantern got chosen for this specific task, and he was so empowered to do this, right? And that really feels so accurate about your purpose, because everyone's unique purpose is that important. Like, for example, when I was 22 years old, I had a spiritual experience where my purpose was revealed to me, and it was revealed, it's very simply, it was your purpose is to bring people back to God. But the way it was said to me was that was my job alone. Like, no one else's job, this specific task, that's only for me. And there was no one else for the Green Lantern. The Green Lantern is the Green Lantern. There's no one else. So I propose that everyone has a unique purpose that's that important. That every single person has a specific, unique purpose that's that powerful and important. And it's interesting that you bring this up, Bo, about twin flames, because that's one of the major things, and you'll see it from movie to movie to movie to movie, that when you choose your purpose, you automatically become magnetized to your twin flame, because you're following your soul's design at the purest sense, and you were created to be in harmony with your twin flame. I use a symbol like a bird, right? Like, you're a wing, they're a wing, you come together, you were crawling before, but now you can fly.
Wow, that's a beautiful analogy.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
I just thought of Neo and Trinity with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really were two wings to one bird.
My personal thing that was said to me was first when I started to be after awakening, I had this light warrior of light kind of thing going on, and after I was told I had to sacrifice for everyone that's gonna actually be chosen to go up there. You guys, I'm gonna be the key to put in that's gonna cost my life for everyone to go. Kind of crazy, but that's kind of the sacrificial elite part of warrior of light that came in.
Yeah, so as you choose your purpose and you align with your twin flame, you are the key to that person, or you are they are the key to your lock, and you're living your own purpose perfectly, the Green Lantern, for example. But if he came in alignment with his twin flame and they interlocked, a whole new reality is opened, even beyond the reality that your purpose creates for you.
I agree with you with that.
How does the Green Lantern end? I didn't see it.
I didn't
the
see
universe. That's it?
That's a Bo question, because I don't know the answer to that
Yeah,
either.
I haven't seen it.
How does it end, Bo?
How does it end?
Mm-hmm.
It ends specifically with Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Ring pretty much embrace each other. If you've seen the movie, it's this conflict of there's an individual named Harold Hammond who's been touched by fear, as opposed to Hal, who's been touched by willpower. And Hal Hammond is obsessed with, or Harold Hammond, excuse me, is obsessed with Hal's love interest named, oh my god, her name's escaping me. She's played by Blake Lively. But anyways, he wants that woman, and he figures if I have the Green Lantern ring, she'll love me as much as she loves Hal. And it's this beautiful sequence where he gets the ring and he's trying to destroy Hal with it. And literally this big old beam of green light comes out and it stops right in front of Hal. And Hal says, "It chose me." And he just absorbs it.
Mm.
And from then on, literally the embodiment of fear comes to devour the world, to just feed on everyone's fear, kill off the world, and more than anything else, Hal and the Ring embrace each other, and they get Parallax, which is the embodiment of fear, out in the middle of space, and together they destroy him. And from then on, it literally Hal has fully embraced who he is, that he realizes, though he has baggage, he has the to overcome great fear and essentially live his new job, which is the protector of this whole sector of the universe, and use the willpower that can develop within himself to be fluid with the ring that he wears in order to do his job.
Very cool.
Crazy.
Cool. As we're wrapping up, I'd like to throw out maybe a few more movies for our listeners to look into. Like, I know one for me would be The Fountain. Oh my God, I love that movie. It's
Yes.
beautiful.
I
It
like
goes
that
across,
one.
time and space. It's visually beautiful and everything else. Are there any other ones that you think that people should check out?
Tristan and Isolde, I would say. I had a list somewhere. A lot of people say Harry Met Sally, or When Harry Met Sally. I don't fully see it. I
Truman Show.
appreciate it.
Fluke.
Mm.
The ones we discussed tonight, of course.
Yeah.
Let's see what.
I know the ladies might appreciate this one, but Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
is a really
Right.
twin flame movie, especially how they keep butting heads and misunderstanding each other. And then finally come to a deeper awareness.
Right.
Like, my God, we're like the same. Let's get
I
married.
hate you. We're the same. No.
Oh yeah, the movie City of Angels with Nicolas Cage, I think, right? City of Angels is good with Nicolas Cage. I think that's not too bad too. Right?
I don't know
Girls,
about that
everyone-
being a twin flame one because isn't
Yeah.
isn't he like an angel or I don't know. I'm
He's
trying
an
to remember.
angel.
Okay.
He's an angel who leaves. I'm spoiling it. He's an
I
angel
think
who
we've all
chooses
seen it by
humanity to be.
Right.
Yeah.
He's an angel who chooses humanity to be with a woman that he met, essentially.
How about Rush Hour?
Rush.
I could decode and justify Rush Hour as a twin flame movie. Some
Team
way.
America World Police.
Rush Hour. It was a good movie, though.
Stardust? Is that the one? I like that one.
Oh, I love
Stardust.
I
Yes.
heard of it.
Stardust is an amazing twin flame movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was
Movie
Claire
makes me
Danes.
cry.
Oh.
Yeah, Claire Danes
I
and
did see it.
some.
Yeah, it was really
Oh,
good.
Viper. It's a really good movie. What do you guys think about Benjamin Button as being one? What do you think that would be?
Oh,
Sure.
Yeah.
That would be an intense one.
Anything that really embodies like this superstellar, over the top, extreme attraction and love across time, no matter what. I mean, that's a twin flame movie.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I like the movie Fluke. It's like a dad who dies in the car crash and reincarnates as a dog, and he becomes the dog pet of the family. He's so protective, and no one understands the behavior of the dog. Anybody seen that movie? A long time ago.
That actually
I watched it
is
as a
really
kid. I cried on it. Huh?
No, I'm not sure what that is.
I think I've heard of it, but yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's cool though. It's interesting. It's a long time back though for me.
So we don't necessarily like meet our twin flame in this section of life, in this lifetime.
Only if you choose to. This is my twin flame.
Only if you choose to.
What do you
As soon
think
as
of
you
the
choose to.
idea? What do you think of the idea that's going around right now that a lot of twins are coming together because of the ascension or whatever you
Yeah,
want to
absolutely.
label it? Do you think that's actually happening?
Yeah, and we're seeing it in our work. You know, we run twinflamesuniverse.com. It's currently upgrading, and our YouTube channel and our work, our life's purpose, involves bringing twin flames together so that we can create heaven on earth.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I
wow.
heard of it.
Yeah, the twin flame is a really fast way to spiritually grow and develop. Like I was telling you with the example of if you think you're spiritually enlightened, go hang out with your family. But the twin
I love
flame,
that.
yeah, as you become more self-loving and you continue to grow and grow, your twin flame is a huge catalyst for that growth and a huge catalyst for that love. Because the greatest gift you can give to yourself is to accept your union into your life. Because that is your divine inheritance already. You just have to reclaim it again. And continue to choose that
That's
every
You
day.
were created that way, so all you have to do is make the choice and fall back into your home state.
Mhm.
So yes, to answer your question, at this time, and this is the reason that twin flames are coming up in consciousness more and more, and lots of twin flames are starting to come together at a greater and greater rate, it's because the consciousness on the planet is raising, and people are desiring a greater, experience from their romantic relationships.
Yeah.
It's just such a big deal to invest all that love into one person, and then even if it's a soulmate, 5 lifetimes later, you spent 5 lifetimes in harmonious marriage, and you poured all that love in, and then they go their separate way, and you go your separate way.
Yeah.
But with your twin flame, you can eternally pour more and more and more love into the union, and it's an investment that stays with you eternally.
Mm-hmm.
Can I share what's happening with me and my twin right now? Because it's kind of crazy. I
Please.
know you guys don't believe in gay twin flames. I've seen your video, by the
Oh,
way.
you have seen, can my twin flame be gay?
No, yeah, I've seen that one. I actually
Good,
Googled
good.
it because I was like, what the F? But him and I are sharing dreams and the synchronicities out of this world. And I think he is actually changing his sexuality. But I'm married. So when we met, I was married and he was gay. And so I wrote him a card that says, so does this mean we're sexually unavailable? As a joke. But through this transition within 6 months, my marriage has dissolved this weekend. I am literally getting separated as we speak. Because, and I've known my whole, for years that it was going to happen.
It feels very empowering for you to say that.
It's creating the perfect storm to rip my marriage apart because it is now time for me to move into a twin flame reunion.
Yeah, and it's really beautiful, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, your marriage is falling apart, what are you doing? But it's a really beautiful thing because you're letting go of something that's, no
not longer serving me.
Exactly, perfect. And so at your twin flame's core and at your core, your sexualities will match perfectly.
Oh yeah, there will be sex. And lots of it. Well, at least at a pace that's appropriate for you.
It's appropriate for you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's in fact there was a theme coming up this week. Like I pull a weekly oracle card in my group, and one of the cards that came up, was letting go, and that's an important one, especially around springtime. It's no accident. There's some new life coming up, and time to let go of certain things and declutter your life. And then the secondary card I pulled, I like to work with animal medicine, and that was lynx. And this is very much a go within and trust your own guidance, because it's a very mysterious animal and all about secrets and keeping this knowledge and secret. I get really frustrated, and other people do when this card comes up, because they're like, just tell me, universe, like what? Why does it have to be lynx? So no, it really, this is going to be a week of really going within to figure out what you need to cut out. And that's it. What serves, like we were talking about earlier, that's so important to realize.
Yeah, the letting go process is really important to inviting your twin flame, because if you have any old energies of past relationships on your computer, in your house, anything that is not bringing you joy in your life is literally in your consciousness, and you're creating more of less joy in your life, less love in your life. And I've gone through so many purging cycles of just material things and digital files and stuff, and I always notice a huge difference in my life of when I let go, I'm inviting something better that's in my best and highest interest to enter. And
Shaleia is talking about one of the big lessons and exercises we teach in our course, Twin Flames Romance Attraction. And it's purging is a powerful way to manifest your twin flame, because when you create that space, like Marissa's saying, Marissa,
yeah, you got it.
is saying you create that space by letting go. You invite your twin flame into that space.
That's what I suggest to clients I have all the time, is even if it's healing, it doesn't have to always be, a twin flame thing. Even if you're healing or whatever your goal is, you have to create that space. If you want a new job, you have to create space for one. That sounds scary, but that's what you have to do. It's all about creating the space and holding it, too.
And it doesn't necessarily mean quit your job before you get another one, but it means let go of the idea of staying in this job forever so you can invite the next one, the one that's appropriate for you.
Right, exactly.
And I can attest to that, too, because actually just a few days ago, I literally destroyed every picture I've ever had of a relationship that didn't work, and I felt wonderful after it.
See?
And I was like, but yeah, it pretty much dissolved. Like over the years, it's kind of like it wasn't a daily thing, but like every few days, something like that would come up.
Yeah.
And just cleaning old junk recently, I was like, I don't need any of this. And but yeah,
good.
And same general thing. It brought a lot of clarity to me. So I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I really relate to what Natalie says. Like, I seem to attract a lot of tomboy girls and transsexual guys. I have no clue why, but I must have something strong feminine inside me, because I attract a lot of tomboy girls, and I like it because there's no bullshit and it's cool. And the transsexual guys, like, since I'm open, I don't care. Like, not gay, whatever. But I mean, like, I have feel like it's a person, It's not like anything else. And they like that. There's no judgment, whatever. So I don't know. It's like my level of openness is really high. So I attract like both, like, male or female, but with like male aspects for the female, like female aspects for the male. So it's really weird. Like, that's what I seem to like attract the most. It's kind of weird, but I don't know what to say. Like, and I like the tomboy girls a lot, like, or edgy look or whatever, like,
It's just energy, and it's about what if you're saying it's just a soul, it's a body, and it's about whatever energy matches your sexual energy most appropriately, and that's what you're attracting for yourself. But your twin flame is going to be appropriate for you. She's, he or she is going to match that energy for you perfectly.
Yeah, be undeniable.
And they'll be the sex that's most appropriate for you both.
Well, when I had a brief relationship in Christmas time, and this girl I had, she was a hockey player, totally. She's so athletic and good and sexy for me, She even had like short hair, whatever, because her fucking helmet wasn't fitting well otherwise. So I don't care. And I had fun. I had like we had like sex and I had visions like during intercourse with her. Like, what the fuck? I even drew it, like, and it was pretty amazing. Like, there was a Mayan mask and the back of a girl, like the lower back of a girl, and I like, look exactly like her. And I, it's really weird. She has the same life path as me, and I guessed her exact birth of date, number for number, for one night and whatever. And it was really, bam, like, whoa.
It sounds like a very healing experience for you.
Healing? Oh yeah, sex is really liberating for me, and it's really healthy, for real. I need it a lot too, so I mean, like, that's why it's hard for me to find maybe a stable relationship, because I really like to give a lot and vice versa receive. So it's like, it's really intense when I get into a relationship and whatever, and I expect a lot and something nothing. And it's really hard to gauge how I need or want, but always really in flames.
The good thing about your twin flame, the good thing about your twin flame is that you'll always be on the same page. So you'll be on the same page sexually.
Oh yeah.
You'll be on the same page with your values, with your desires, with your visions. And sure, there might be some tweaking here and there, but you're on the same page. So there's no real conflict in many areas.
Ultimately, there's total agreement on every level.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that girl, she really got me, like, twing. It's crazy. And I don't know if I'm ever going to see her again, but even her, she's all aware of those topics too, you know, but it's not because she's following groups, whatever, because she's like, you know, more native kind of girl, you know, like from up north a lot, because I've been seeing a lot of those Eskimo girls, whatever, on and off, you know, anyways. And, yeah, Inuit, yeah, that's it. And that one, we were really clicked like, boom, and there's something really mystical about these people that most people think, oh, they're just alcoholics, they're this and that, blah, 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 you know, and judgmental, low frequency level, if you want. But I really connected, fucked up with this girl, and we never, like, argued or fight or whatever, but, I mean, like, wow. Like, it was just like a one night, and after a half a day after, and she had to go for Christmas up north to her family. I'm like, fuck. So, you know, but I had a great time, and I can't seem to forget her, and I don't know, those people seem to come to me all the time, even though I'm in Montreal, like, you know, and Canada, like, they seem to always come around and whatever, like, it's weird. Maybe I should switch my head.
I'm really grateful that everybody was open to, you know, talking about their own experiences. That was really cool to bring to the table. And, yeah, I think that's went really well, guys. It's really interesting, Bo. I'm glad you put it together. That was really great.
Thank
a
you
lot
for
to think about.
Present again.
Of course. And I'm glad everybody showed up. And Jeff and Shaleia, maybe you can join us again for another presentation or a hangout. Maybe we could do some kind of a twin flame series, you know, something.
Yeah, that'd
Obviously,
be awesome.
it's a topic that we love to talk about, and it's endless. We could talk about it involved with numerology, astrology, a ton of things.
You know what might be nice, Marisa, is if you invited us on your channel to do a twin flames and astrology discussion.
That'd be cool.
That would be great. I'd be into that.
I just wanted to ask Angel if your question was answered. I know you asked a question and I wasn't sure if you felt complete with our answer, or if there's anything more you wanted to add.
I kind of forgot what I asked, but I just like, okay, how about this? Like, okay, so you meet your twin flame in this lifetime, but what if one dies?
Not possible.
Sorry?
It's not possible.
Oh, it's not possible?
No, because
so you die at the same time?
Kind of. It's because of how you're designed, right? Like, if it's time for you to leave the planet, it's time for your life to end here, they're going to coincide appropriately. It's not like, well, one's gone, and then what do I do now? I got to live my life without them? You know, that can only happen if you make a very strong choice. That's in a very strong opposition to being in union with your twin flame. And the question you're really asking is, what if I'm choosing to be with my twin flame and they just die? Well, and that's why I'm saying that's not possible. Because you and your twin flame choose at the same time equally all the time. The only reason your twin flame right now is not...
Hold on. No, and I'm just trying to get a broader spectrum. But you're just saying, so, like, a man and a woman.
Yep.
So you're saying they have to die at the same time, then?
Essentially the same time, not literally like we both like.
So we're looking at situations
well,
like
that's what you just said, though.
Well, no.
It just came to mind. I'm just like saying, okay, you meet people, like it's just, it's.
Have you heard of the term a walk-in? Have you heard the term walk-in? Okay, so with my twin flame experience, my twin has come through different bodies.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. I guess that makes sense.
Because he expands me. He comes through male, female, older, younger, black, white, to help expand me and help me grow so I could prepare for my ultimate twin flame relationship. He always told me he would be a walk-in because he would die and then come back into another body. Does that make sense?
So Natalie's talking about how the universe is unlimited. Yes. You can't limit the way that it happens. So ultimately, Angel, what the core of your question is am I separate from my twin flame? And the answer is no, absolutely not. You're connected always. You're together always. And the reason, he or she is not sitting next to you right now in this moment is because you're both choosing that at the same time, but you have the power to change that choice. You can choose differently and have them appear right next to you.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, and please, what if one of you died tomorrow? What happens to the other person?
If Shaleia died, I would die immediately after. I'd have no reason to live.
Okay, no. Yeah, and please, that was not like a...
No.
I'm just trying to, like...
Oh, I think
make
I'm
sense of that
understanding
issue.
this. I think I'm understanding this.
But then you're saying, but you might, sorry, Natalie, I think? Yeah, what Natalie would
Yes,
say is...
so
you
if one
might
of them
not
die,
because someone else might come in.
the other will
be
attract
her
you
again.
back through another person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you're
Because they've already earned the right to be with their twin. They've already become that frequency. If one dies, they will pull the soul back through another body, another physical form to be
So
together.
you would not die the next day, like.
Well, it's not possible because you have to choose death. Every death is a choice that one makes. Every death is essentially a suicide. So death isn't an accident in ever. You're always choosing your own exit.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't even know what my original question was because I was like.
Well, I think the way I'm understanding this is you hear time and again of these couples, and I wouldn't say it happens simultaneously. It makes more sense to me when you hear about, say, a woman dying, and then a month later her husband dies completely suddenly. Like I do hear a lot about that, and that resonates.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They just die very fast after one has perished or something.
Right. Yeah, that's making sense.
Yeah, the liverbird syndrome. One
What?
dies, the other one.
Like
the liverbird syndrome kind of thing. Like liverbirds.
You guys are talking at the same time. In the Notebook, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Kind of like that too. You see that there.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate as far as twin flames.
I was gonna say I don't want to give too much away, but never mind. I've already done so many spoilers tonight.
Just do it.
That's how my twin flame book ends. Is that what Jeff was actually saying? The twin flames in my story literally die at the exact same moment. So that sleep resonates with me too. I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense if it's a twin flame. Otherwise, it makes no sense, right? It doesn't apply if it's not your twin flame.
Right. I mean, you could be with a soulmate that you're really involved with, and then you decide, well, they're gone. I think I'm done too, and you wrap things up yourself and leave. But if you don't have to leave if your soulmate leaves. You can carry on with your life. But if your twin flame leaves, like Yoko Ono, this is a prime example. John and Yoko Ono, John died, and Yoko's around, and they're still holding a vibration of separation. Otherwise, Yoko would have died, or John would have walked in.
That's a good
So
point.
political.
Wait a minute. Can you explain that one again? I don't know if I understand.
Yeah, so
Wait, you're saying they are twin flames?
Oh yeah.
John Lennon, Yoko Ono, famous twin flames. The problem came is that in the 60s, the vibe was pretty high in certain areas, but John Lennon and Yoko Ono, they were kind of thought leaders in this ascending consciousness, but they got in a little over their heads vibrationally by choosing each other and then not continuing to choose each other. So it became too painful because there's no tools available, there's no blueprints, we weren't there to teach, right? And all of this information spiritually wasn't disseminated on the planet to help them. So they chose separation, and they did it powerfully, so powerfully that John died.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And they're still choosing it, but Yoko won't be with anyone else because there's no one else for her. They're still choosing separation. And so if Yoko was like, fuck it, I'm gonna be with John, I choose my twin flame unequivocally, she would either die or John Lennon would walk back into another body. Or she would hop dimensions. And never know that,
So would that mean that he has not reincarnated?
No, he hasn't. Divine Channel, I can see that, but those two don't, What I'm really calling to is, 1, the power of choice, and the power of the law of attraction, and then 3, the power of twin flames to come together across any means. limitless ability for the universe to bring you what you desire, and you only, almost everyone has just one twin flame. And so you can't be prevented from your twin flame no matter what. I choose unequivocally to be with my twin flame. I follow that energy. Just like Natalie was saying, like my twin flame's coming through all these people, black or white, man or woman, old or young. That's the real energy of her twin flame coming to greet her and guide her to the physical embodiment of her twin flame. That's God working through these people to guide her to her twin flame union. So she's creating a relationship, she's developing a relationship with the energy of her twin flame to prepare herself to live with that, to be in harmony with that.
And so you were saying, what is it, about 3% of the population is currently with their existing twin flames? So would that mean the rest are with like karmic secrets and soulmates?
No. 97% of the people on the planet right now who are incarnated also have their twin flame incarnated on the planet.
Oh, okay, my mistake.
It's really an irrelevant statistic, because if Shaleia wasn't on the planet, she was across the galaxy, and we're like, time to be together, the universe would conspire to create that. It would bridge that galactic gap, and no one would know.
On the physical plane.
Okay. So a lot of them are incarnated, but they're not necessarily together at this moment.
Yeah, few are together at this moment, but they're coming together at a greater and greater rate. And I highly recommend you all choose your twin flame and move into your union, as Natalie's doing right now. It seems like everyone's here for a purpose and a reason, and everyone desires it. A great place to start is, we wrote a book called Twin Flames: Finding Your Ultimate Lover. You can go to Amazon, or if you forget, just ask me, I'll send it to you. It will help you get into your union, and it'll give you the tools to work through the blocks and barriers that are preventing you from your union. And it'll help you make that choice and follow that energy to your twin flame.
You can read the first 10 pages for free if you want a little taste.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I forget, are you guys?
You can also
are no
find
longer
my book on
offering?
Amazon.
Oh yeah, you can find both book on Amazon too. Yeah. So you guys are no longer offering like consultations? You're just
we do coaching. We have 2 e-courses. I also offer readings at this time. So if you want help with your twin flame union, please approach us, and that's our purpose. That's what we do.
Right. Cool. Awesome, guys. Yeah, I think it's about time to wrap up, but that was really good one, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And thanks everyone for coming.
And if you're recording this for everyone at home, they can find our work at twinflamesuniverse.com. It's the hub for all twin flame information on the planet.
Awesome. Perfect. And I'll put that in the description too.
Great.
All right, thank you everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Thank you.